To Louis Seltzer from Jake Moershel. Camp Pike, Arkansas, August the 13th, 1918. Dear friend Louis, how are you by this time? I suppose you were threshing or just about done now. Wish I could have helped. Down here in Arkansas it is very hot. We had a little rain this afternoon that stopped us from drilling. We are still sleeping in tents. We are out of quarantine. I was vaccinated twice and had a shot in the back. Some boys got awful sick, but I was lucky yet so far. We had several examinations in school the last few days. This is to find out what a man is fitted for. The first day they wanted to assign me to heavy artillery, but I hope that I will get in the quartermaster corps. We expect to move into barracks in a day or two. I hope you boys can stay at home with your families. This is no life for a married man. So far I enjoy it, but I would sooner be home and married by this time. So bye-bye with love, your friend Jake Moershel. Camp Pike, Arkansas, September 22nd, 1918. My dear friend Louis. Well, Louis, why is it that you don't write once in a while? Your last letter was so interesting to me, but I guess you have more to do than write letters to Camp Pike. I'm feeling fine so far and hope you do the same. I expect you will be getting ready for corn husking soon. I'm writing this letter at the new Red Cross building. It sure is a dandy, Louis. More chairs, mahogany library tables, wax floors. It's really more for patients of the hospital. The other day we had a review. They called out all the Iowa boys in camp and they looked them over. They lined us all up. First the training regiments, then the medical corps, then the quartermaster corps. I should judge there must have been 15,000 men in the bunch. Some say this was to find out how many men were left from Iowa and draft accordingly on the state. Louis, I hope you are still in a deferred class. Hopefully you can stay there as the farm manager. This camp will get in about 8,000 men again later this part of the month. They are sending men out every day to eastern camps. Tell me all the news, Louis. What's going on down there? You cannot write often enough. We'll have to close now, so give my regards to your wife, and also remember me to your folks, and answer soon. As ever, your friend, Jake.
October 1918. Days ago, the brethren Jacob Moershel and Peter Zimmerman received a telegram informing them that the condition of young Jacob Moershel, who was ill with influenza, was now worsening, so they prepared to journey to Camp Pike, Arkansas. They arrived in Little Rock at 9 p.m. and requested permission via telephone to enter the camp that evening. They received immediate entry, and they found young Jake in better spirits than they had thought, though he was still very weak. He was happy to see his father and brother Zimmerman, and he inquired about his family and friends back home. His doctor reported that his condition was not grave, so the two brethren returned to Little Rock somewhat relieved and comforted during this distressing situation. The following day, the brethren returned to the hospital and were asked to come back at 2 p.m. during visiting hours because Jake's condition hadn't changed. They used their time to find the other young brethren serving at the camp. When they did, they were so excited to see loved ones from home. Some of the boys had also been sick and were not yet fully healthy. Now the time came for the two brethren to see Jake, whose condition had not changed much. They noticed that he had become even weaker. Throughout his illness, which had started on September 25th, he had had to endure much suffering. The brethren sought to cheer him up, and he was very thankful. He understood that if it was God's will that his condition would not improve, that he would find a merciful God through Jesus Christ in his heart. A while later, the brethren had to leave Jake with hopes for the best for him and his recovery. The next morning, they were allowed in right away to see him. That was not a good sign. They found him in the last moments of his life. This was a bitter change. He still recognized them, but was now too weak to speak. His father was so overcome with grief that he had to leave the room to compose himself. His condition lasted until the early afternoon. He remained conscious and looked at the brethren for a while, becoming ever weaker, until finally, as if a death blow ran through his body, and giving a bitter groan, his end came. The brethren sent a telegram reporting his demise. This was a great shock and a sad news, considering the hopeful report passing to all the communities of his likely recovery from the prior day. The brethren requested his body be taken immediately to the morgue for preparation, and they then conducted a prayer service at the hotel in Little Rock with the younger Amana brothers from the camp who were still in shock. Afterwards, they transported the coffin to the train and made ready to return to Homestead that Friday.